or woman going through an identity crisis, and what you would tell them as a coach?
I think the first thing I can say to someone going through the identity crisis is that it's okay. It's so okay to be lost. You'll not be the first one. You'll not be the last one. And it's better if you find yourself in that situation where you're lost, because you're likely to find yourself. There are people who go through life for years and years not knowing what they're supposed to do, and maybe they conformed to a certain way of living because that was acceptable, it was familiar, and it didn't require a lot of change. So if you're going through a season of being lost, just accept it. Accept your life for what it has been. Accept for your decision for what they have been, but also be willing to make that change that you need to make.
Nyambura beautiful souls. Welcome to yet another episode of Women, Words and Wisdom Global. I'm your host, Imani Mwaura. Let me start off by saying thank you very much for this growing community. You keep on encouraging us, and we are very, very grateful for sharing, for liking, for subscribing. We don't take that for granted. And if you're here and you have not subscribed, go there and click the subscribe button right away. Make sure you don't forget the notification bell so that you get the front row seat when we release a new episode like we are doing today. And please share. Let's spread this wisdom that we are getting from the wonderful speakers, incredible speakers that we have here on sets. Today's conversation is one of those. Let me start off with a question for you. Have you ever looked in the mirror and wondered, who am I becoming? Maybe your job no longer excites you. Maybe you're a new mother and a lot in your world has changed. Or maybe you're coming out of that painful relationship, and the you that you knew is now like a stranger. It feels like you are dealing with a different person, and there's an identity crisis right there. Have you ever been there? Let me make a confession. Yes, I have been there. And today we open up to a raw, real, and refreshing conversation about embracing yourself in this journey. And to help us with this is another one of my friends. And guess what her name is? Faith. So today we have Faith and Faith, but you know my stage name is Imani. So I am Imani, and we have Faith, who is a life coach majoring on transformational coaching. And she's going to tell us more about that. So Faith, thank you very much for making time to be here, and nice to see you after a while.
Nice to see you too.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Tell our viewers what transformation coaching is all about.
Hello viewers, and thank you for having me. Transformation coaching is it's a branch of life coaching where we help people go through major life changes in life. Mm-hmm. And as we all know, there will always be a change. And even if you're not going through it now, it's coming.
Yeah.
So life is full of changes. So I'm that person who will help you go through the change.
Yes.
And I want to make it clear that we don't tell you what to do. We just ask the right questions to help you know what you need to do. Okay. And to come out with your authentic self.
Yes.
Yes, I'll ask you the right questions at that stage so that you're not representing anyone. I'll listen to it to know if you're doing it for the society or for your parents, and to get that authenticity of you being yourself.
Yes.
So I help people through life changes, and you're welcome at whatever age. Not everyone has the privilege of knowing themselves at an early age. You can still come at 50, you can still come at 60, because change is constant.
Okay.
Yes.
So someone said that you're either going through, you are either coming out of it, going through it, or you'll go through it.
Or it's coming.
Yes, so
Yes.
it's coming.
Yes.
So let's start with you. Have you been in that space, in that season, that change has happened in your life?
Yes, I would say I have been in the season many times than I would want to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, change happens from when you're a child. You start school. I think the first time I realized that there was changes when I went to my first boarding school. That was in class 8. So I was coming from the village, and the boarding school was in a town. So joining a new school, and there were so many people speaking English and talking of pizzas and sausages, something that I was not so used to. So I was going through a change. At that time, I didn't know that it was change. I didn't know that there's something like a culture change. So I was coming from knowing something in a place where I was so comfortable, because where I was coming from, most of our children were the same. So we were going through the same things. Now I was in a situation where people with different backgrounds, they eat different things, and they are going through different things. And I think that was the first time I experienced change.
Yeah.
So it has been that throughout my life. So I got to a place where I needed to start campus. I needed to start my first job. I needed to get married. I now have 2 children, and I can tell you I've gone through many changes.
Yeah.
So far, I cannot even count them.
Yeah.
But they have been redefining moments. And what I can say about change is that looking back, I see what God was doing in my life all through. Some were painful. Some have been easy. Some have been painful. Some have been life-defining. And I can say that it's those changes that have made me who I am today.
Yeah.
So I can give credit to all the pain.
Yeah.
And I can tell someone who is going through a challenge right now, and you are thinking, how can God use this to your advantage? The thing is, God can always use that situation to your advantage.
Wow.
And it always makes sense at the end.
It makes sense at the end. I like that, Faith. And just thinking about all these different phases of life that you have mentioned, you said some were good, some were not very good. Do you feel that there's a time you probably lost your identity? And how did you find yourself, even though you didn't know that identity loss?
So I would say initially, like I mentioned the example of joining a boarding school for the first time. So at that point, I lost my identity. Then I went to high school. Of course, I was now coming with a baggage of how those kids made me feel. So, of course, you start asking yourself, am I good enough? Is this how life is? And all those questions. So at some point, I think when I was joining campus, I had made peace with it. And one of the things I did to make peace with it is that I started doing things that I love. I think that's when I started realizing that I had this passion for teaching.
Yeah.
So I enrolled into teaching kids. I was also in college learning. And I think that's when I overcame that thing of not feeling like I'm good enough. But again, you start going through life and another thing hits. Now that's harder than the other one. You remember this one was a culture change of I'm going through school, and their kids, of course, there would be a bit of bullying in school and kids coming from different perspectives. Then there is another one that hits a bigger one. You start your career. I started my first job in craft silicone. Did it for 4 years. Again, adulting and a lot of things changing. You're meeting now different people who are older and also from another world, and then you're trying to fit in. There are people who are doing their masters, people are buying their first house. I'm here at 20-year-old in an organization. I was the youngest, so another one. So you learn to live with that. And I think I've learned when you graduate from that one, there's always another one coming.
Yeah.
So at that point, I was confident. I said I'm gonna start my first company. I started Lobtech Solutions. It was good, but I was still learning. I had not figured out how to run a company. So at some point I was about to fail. But I still appreciate that change, because from that I learned something about business.
Yes.
So I didn't know that you're supposed to market. I didn't know that you're supposed to look for good people to work with you. So there's so many things I didn't know. So I started that. It failed. I still kept learning. Then I landed to another job. It was good. For 2 years, it was wonderful. I bought my first land. I bought my first car. Then came marriage and another different set of challenges. Yeah. With marriage came kids. With kids comes a nanny and a husband and so many things. Yeah. Again, now it changed completely to something that I didn't know. And at some point, I think that's where I felt, maybe the recent one, that's where I felt completely lost. Because now I have so many people around me, and maintaining myself was really hard. At that point, I didn't know that I was lost. Because I was trying to be, of course, people will tell you this is how a mother is. This is how you take care of your kids. This is how you treat your nanny. Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. This is how you report to work. This is how you show up. And I realized that there's a lot of voices around me. And I think it's that point where you now need to sit down and ask yourself, what is faith saying? Can I listen to myself? What do I want from life? How can I redefine my success? And I think that's where, at that point, when I was still in Stanbic, I did a course on coaching, and I learned about asking yourself the right questions. So I'm in this situation. Why am I not happy? When was I happy? I was happy when I was doing ABCD. Why did I stop doing it? Because at some point you don't even know. You stop doing the things you used to like. Yeah. I used to walk. Why did I stop walking? I used to like teaching. Why did I stop teaching? Then you start now asking, it's a journey. Why did I stop doing the things that used to make me happy? And then how can I go back to being myself unapologetically and being the authentic self? So when you say, I want to be my authentic self, it's going back to your true self, not pretending. I'm not living for my parents. I'm not living for my spouse. I'm not living for my children. I'm now living for me. But it's not in a selfish way, so that I can show up better and be able to serve the people around me.
Wow. I'm getting a lot of things here. So first of all, you had mentioned that thing that many of us say, I'm not good enough. And it's because we are trying to do it for other people.
Yes.
And then you've talked about these questions, I feel like self-audits, that we need to be having those self-audit questions. And you kind of started asking those questions. And maybe for someone who's taking notes or writing something, Ebu put together about 5 questions. You said, when is the last time I was walking? What are those questions that you can ask yourself to bring out the authentic you?
When you're going through a challenge, I don't have the order right now, but I'll help you pick some few.
Yes.
When you go through some change, we learn it in coaching. It's trying to understand. It's like you asking me, like if you find me lost.
Yes.
I'll give that example. If you find me lost and I'm crying, and maybe it's a grief that I have gone through, and you're trying to understand me, what are those questions you will ask that person? Yeah. So for the first thing, for you to stop crying, maybe I need to put your mind somewhere. So and one of the questions I asked myself was, what do I really want from life?
What do I really want from life?
Not what my parents want, not what my siblings want, because you realize you're 5 of you in a home, and maybe your parents are trying to channel you in a certain direction, and you realize you are made for this one. If you try to follow this certain direction, you'll feel lost. Because I would define being lost is like there's a past that you cannot really relate with, and then there's a future that you have fear, and you're not ready to step into that future. So this place of being lost is because you have nowhere to go back to, and you don't have the courage to step into
the future.
Wow. So I think the first thing I would ask myself is, why are you scared? Why are you scared? Of course, it's because maybe you're scared of what people will say. Maybe, for example, if you're going through divorce, what will people say? I'm a single mother, I'm divorcee. What will people say? The other thing is, of course, you need to understand why you're scared. You need to identify that emotion. Why am I scared? Why are you scared? What do you really want from life? What can you do to get to where you want to be in life? What do you need to not do to get to where you want to be? What are the habits that got you here? Of course, when you're stuck, there are habits that you gathered that has brought you to this point.
Yes.
So what do I need to drop for me to get to the other side of me.
Yeah.
So I will give an example. Maybe you've been listening to people. You've listened to people until you've lost your voice. You don't listen to people. The question is, who are you listening to? And if that person cannot be a mentor, if they have not succeeded in that area, they are likely not to give you the correct advice that you want.
Yeah.
So you have to ask yourself, who am I listening to? And are they able to advise me in that area? Like if I'm a widower, there is no way I'm going to advise you on a journey you have not gone through.
Yeah.
So if I'm coming to encourage another widower, it's easier for someone who has gone through that journey to be there to advise the other person. So if you want to pursue a certain path, look for who is excelling in that area, who has done it before you, and also look for maybe a coach, someone who doesn't know your background, and they're able to reason with you and tell you this is something that you can pursue.
What I'm getting there is that feeling lost can help you discover yourself.
Yes.
If you become self-aware that I'm in this space and I need the right question,
yes,
it can help you discover yourself.
Yes. I think feeling lost is a blessing.
It's not that bad.
It's not that bad.
Yeah.
Actually, you should be happy when you're lost. Because that means that you're not fitting in your past. You're just lost because you're not ready to move into your future. But you're not fitting in your past. So if you ask yourself the right questions, and of course don't go to your past. If you can ask yourself the right question at this point, you'll be able to tell yourself, what do I need to do to get to the future that I'm envisioning for myself?
Yes.
And why do I feel the way I'm feeling? What have I been doing? What have I been following? What do I want to do? And sometimes I might give an example with the people who say, I don't feel like I'm a good mother. Why are you not feeling like a good mother? Because when I'm going through a hard time, maybe I put my kids to sit down and watch TV. But maybe you're being a good mother because when you put them there, maybe you go cry in your room and sort your issues out, and then you show up as a better person.
Yeah.
So you're still performing, you're still showing up, you're still doing something good. So I think I would say it's okay to be lost as long as you can think about it critically. Don't ignore it. Don't put your emotions down. Accept them, listen to yourself, accept what you're feeling, and be able to move into to that future that you're envisioning.
Yeah. Your definition of feeling lost is very nice. That you no longer fit in your past and you are afraid of your future. And then in this state of confusion, that's where you find yourself. Do not put yourself down.
Yes.
Hey, Maze, another therapy session for me on set. Do not put yourself there. So your mind then becomes very critical.
Yes.
And what you're talking to us about the questions. Okay? And because you've given that this is inevitable, it is life.
It's life.
I don't know what change will occur tomorrow. It is life. You know, having seasons change, seasons come and go. What should we continually do to our minds to prepare us? Because we don't know when change will come.
I think it's embracing a change mindset. You need to or what we call a growth mindset.
Growth mindset.
Yeah, you need to embrace a growth mindset because, like I said, challenge will always be there. Changes will come. And even as we speak here, we don't know what changes we'll be walking to the next season. Only God knows.
Yes.
So I think it's, and the most important thing is working on your mind and working on yourself, personal development, to be able to tell that, and being self-aware, even emotionally, mentally, psychologically, physically, everything. You need to be self-aware so that you know that I'm walking into a season. You're able to even prepare for it. That it's gonna be hard, and you're self-aware. Like I would say, when you're going through grief can take two people, the same people,
differently.
Either way. Yes. There's someone who will say that my life is over and I'm gonna commit suicide, and that ends. So I've lost a child. I'm not able to continue with my life. I'm gonna commit suicide, and that's it. And then you'll bury the two of them. But there's the same mother who will be left with two children. Of course, you cannot say that you're gonna replace that child. They are gone, but the way they handle that situation is totally different. they will look at it from an angle of, I can accept it. There's nothing I can do about this. The child is gone. And now I have my two other children who need me. How can I show up better for them? I need to accept it. Well, how do I deal with this situation? Accepting that this one has gone to rest, and there's nothing I can do about it. I know we do the serenity prayer, the one that we tell God to give us the courage
to accept the things we cannot change.
Yes.
And the courage, oh gosh, I've forgotten that. Yes, I know the
to know the difference.
The difference.
And the wisdom to know the difference.
The difference.
This one I can accept,
yes.
This one I can change, this one I cannot change.
Yeah.
So it's that mindset of understanding that there are things you might never be able to change. There are things you wanted for your life, but they didn't come the way they wanted. And I think that's why we struggle with change, because most of the times we go through change because it's something that we never expected. I expected that I'll have a family of 3. Now there are 2. But life still has to continue. I expected that I'll be married until I'm 50, but now I'm divorced at 20. What happens? I expected I'll have my first child when I'm married. I'm here with a child I got a child at 16. Does your life end there? And I think you've seen people who they got a child at 16, then they ended up having so many. Maybe you have now up to 6 at 20, which is still good because you can wake up at any age. And there's one who got that one kid. They showered, they dusted themselves, they cried enough, they accepted the emotions, they went back to school, they studied, and now them and their children, the child is in a good school, and the mother is also thriving.
Yes.
So it's the mindset of how are you able to accept that change and see it from, there's what we say, the silver lining in every cloud. So there will be a good thing that can come out of any situation. You just need to change your perspective of how you choose to look at it.
Wow. Mindsets. What's the state of your mind? And what are you feeding yourself? Are you putting yourself down? Because change is inevitable. Change will come anytime. Some you prepare for it, but some they'll just come at any time.
True.
And I like the way you've enumerated the different changes that have come in your life and what you've done. It's been you've made me think also my life, what are all those changes that are coming in? And I want to ask you this question. Maybe the latest change or something that you took a bold step. Walk us into Faith telling herself, I am quitting employment, I am going into business.
Yeah, I know that one. You remember it very well.
Yes.
Because of course people will tell you that you're in a bank.
Yes.
You cannot leave your banking career. And how that change came about, I think it's again feeling lost. You're in a place where you realize your full potential. Then you've been here, put it in a certain place of rules. And I'm not saying working in a bank is bad. There are people who are called for that. And then there are people who are not maybe called to be in a certain way. And I wouldn't say that the career was wrong. I think it's me being able to exist in different forms. So I think growing up, you have people telling you that you need to exist in, you need to focus on this one thing and excel at it. So you try it, but since it doesn't match with your personality, you kind of feel lost. Because I'm showing up, I want to teach children on Sunday, because I have done that before, mentoring kids and doing all that. So I'm not able to do it. I want to focus on my career. And then you realize, this is not my life. It's good. I like what I'm doing, but I can't. At that point, I couldn't.
There's a mismatch.
There's a mismatch. I can't really put a hand to it. But I knew that something was not right. And I had become a different person. I was not listening to my voice. I had suppressed. I had shrunk myself to a level where I couldn't understand myself anymore. And I was trying to fit in. Maybe the career was not wrong. It was me trying to fit in this life that everyone has defined for me. You're born, you start a career, you get married, you thrive and all that.
Yeah.
And I sat down and asked myself, is this what I want from life? Of course, I think I challenge systems. I'm being the person who doesn't want to, I don't want to have that defined path.
Yeah.
I want to experience life
Yes.
in fullness and to achieve my potential. So I realized at that point I was not achieving my potential. And I tried to fix it when I was there, but I was not able to do it. So I had to make a call and say, I need to step back because I cannot live like this. And you ask yourself, if God was to come today and tell you that you have 1 week to live, would you continue living in this way? And of course, my answer was no. I need to look for what is it that is missing in my life.
Yeah.
So I took a step back and I quit my career, which was a good move. I have no regrets. And now I started a journey of now finding myself. Personal development, learning, a lot of learning, understanding my emotions, understanding myself. And I realized that there's a lot of work I had not done on myself. Like first, emotional intelligence, I didn't quite understand it. Understanding your emotions, I was the kind of person who would try to suppress my emotions. Like if I'm feeling sad, I'll try to not feel sad so that I can make everybody else comfortable. And I realized what I was doing is harming myself. And I needed to get to a place where I accept myself, my strengths, my weaknesses, my failures, and live with it.
Yeah.
And I say, this is who I am.
Yes.
You can take it or leave it.
Yes.
And then I will be able to progress. Would I still do a career in banking? Yes. But I would totally be a different person.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. Working on, first of all, self-awareness, knowing yourself, and working on yourself.
Yes.
Self-development and all those things. Interestingly, so how do you maintain this new person that you have identified? You know, you have talked about the new identity. So I'm no longer what people defined me. Maintaining it and sticking to it. So what has that been like? I'm sure there's still people or situations that made you feel, did I make the right choice? And you questioned yourself, but you've maintained it. It's been several years.
Yes.
You have maintained it. How have you done it?
I think you need to first understand your definition of success.
Good one. That's a good one.
And I see, sometimes I want to disagree with people who tell us that you need to be successful. There's the American dream. I don't know if it's still it's also the Kenyan dream of, I want to drive a big car. I want to build a 4-bedroom house or a 5-bedroom house with a swimming pool and all that.
Yeah.
But you find someone has it and they're still not happy. Why? Because you have not redefined your success. There's someone who wants to live in a small space and have experiences. I want to travel. Like personally, I would be happy if I'm able to travel more. If I'm at peace, if I can see nature. Like being in a place like this one would make me feel good. But maybe if I'm in that house, I might not really know who I am. Maybe I would have it, and maybe I would need to change it in a way to suit my personality. So I think you need to define your success. Then when you define your success, you need now to focus on achieving that which you have said is your success. And I would say that's how I would maintain that lifestyle that I've chosen for myself. I'll give an example. Like today when I was coming here, I met a matatu guy. And he was, you know, the way they didn't want to move fast. Of course, they know where they're going.
Yes.
And he was really trying to make me move fast so that he can go. Of course, he has a plan, and it's a 2-second thing, but he has no patience to wait for those 2 seconds for people to move so that he can go. And you hear them telling, "Madam, you need to do this. You need to do this." And of course, I've done my calculations. I know I need this car to move, so that I can go.
Yeah.
But for him, he's also coming from. He needs to do several trips or something. So at that point, I noticed something. Maybe the previous version of me would have sat and asked him to. I know where I'm going. I know how I got here. I know where I'm going. Why are you trying to harass me? Why are you harassing me? We all have a right to use the road. Why do you feel like you have more rights than everybody else?
Yes.
But the current me, I just sat and I made sure I'm not gonna turn my face. I'm not gonna face you, and I will let you finish saying whatever you're saying, and I'll just move.
Yes.
And I realized it's just a small thing of focusing on where you're going, and not really trying to fix everything. And sometimes we get lost because you're trying to fix here, you're dealing with the whoever you're finding, you're dealing with anything that you're finding on your way. It's just trying to know what is it that I want to achieve from life. How do I get from point A to B, and how do I avoid the distractions?
Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting that you have talked about the former faith and the current faith and what you would do in the same situation. And what I gather from you is that you are so self-aware that you know what you want right now. But I'm just curious, what would trigger identity loss? Is it something external? Is it something internal that you would find yourself going back to the former faith in that situation?
I would say what it can be external, but I've now come to realize that mostly it's internal. It's mostly internal because like the example I gave previously of what I would do in a situation where I'm harassed. If you stop and you start now picking fights with maybe someone who is harassing you,
Yes.
of course you'll take a path. And then you'll find another one, you'll take a path. And then you find another one, you'll take a path. I would give an example. It's like you're trying to achieve a certain goal. What makes you distracted? I think it's not knowing what you really want from life. So if you're sure that I want to leave Nairobi and go to Mombasa, for example, you'll definitely, there are things you'll do to prepare to get to that
Yes.
to that destination.
True.
And most likely you'll also find people with the same mindset who are going to Mombasa. Maybe they're going to the beach or they're going to do something there. So you'll be with people who are also heading to that direction.
Yes.
So how we get lost is sometimes you don't know that you want to get to Mombasa. You find someone who is going to Kisumu. Then you
take that
you
road.
follow them to Kisumu. Then you get to Kisumu, because you didn't know what took you to Kisumu, you're now again lost.
Yes.
And you find someone else who tells you, let's go to Kisii. Again, because you don't know your purpose in Kisumu, you definitely go to Kisii. You'll again go to Kisii, and then you keep moving and shifting until one day you come and ask yourself, where was I going? What did I want from life? And then you go back to the crossroad. You remember where you lost your path?
Yes.
Where you needed to take the route to Mombasa?
Yeah.
And you found yourself in a different route. So you need to go back to that place where you need to ask yourself where I mentioned about asking yourself the right questions. What did I want from life? So we get lost mostly because we didn't know what we want. So we might, I wouldn't want to say that it's because I went through grief. People go through grief and they come out of it. People go through job loss and they come out of it. So the problem is not what you go through. The problem is that maybe you didn't know what you wanted from life in the first place. So everything happening around you will make you feel lost. But if you go back to knowing who you are and finding your identity, and I want to mention something, you need to also find your identity not in things. Like if you need to define who you are, not because of your career, not because I am a banker, I am a lawyer, I am a pilot, I am this. You need to know who you are, because that is your compass in life. You'll always go back to who you are.
Yes.
Who am I before these kids came to my life? Who was Faith before this job? So that even after I leave a job, I still continue surviving because I am who I am. So you need to, so we get lost because maybe you have not defined who you really are, so that you're not shaken by events. So someone will tell you, oh, we are going through grief. And I want to mention something else. It's easier to go through grief when you know yourself than when you don't know yourself. And that's why you find grief can mess up two different people in different ways. There are people who will go through something and they lose themselves completely. There are some people who will go through the same thing and you are like, and like someone who once told me, you don't see anything big in life. How do you manage? How comes you, this thing would have killed me? How do you, it's knowing who you are that is not defined by external things, so that when I go through this, I'm able to remind myself that I need to go back.
Yeah.
And also to add something else, that you don't have to be perfect. It's a journey. Sometimes you'll be lost. Like I gave that example of you going to Kisumu. Sometimes you'll find yourself you're going to Mombasa, you find yourself in Kisumu. You need to, there's this Japanese saying that they say when you find yourself in the wrong train, you need to come out as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Yes, before you go further.
Yes.
So I'm not telling you that you need to now be perfect and that you need to not lose your way. But if you lose your way, find yourself to go back. Make sure you have the right support system, people who can speak to who you are, people who can remind you who you are, and you have the right system to get you right on track. So can you get lost? Yes. Even now, maybe when I found myself, there's one day I'll get to a situation and I'm like, hey, God, this is a master's level. I'm still in the degree level.
Yes.
So how do I go back to being me?
Yeah.
And you're able to take yourself back and you're able to start over.
Wow, Faith, I think I have a lot of work after this session. and defining my compass very well, and ensuring that I keep on asking myself the right questions, because those will be the ones that will be bringing me back to my path. And I also like what you have said, that getting lost is not bad, but realizing it immediately and saying, hey, I'm lost. Let me figure out where I was going. You are a true life coach. And I'm just proud of you, and just to see what is coming out of you. Curious, what is that one life lesson you find yourself coming back to over and over and over again?
I would say there are several, but I think, let me just say one. No one else can define you.
It's a good one.
Because no one knows you.
Yeah.
No one knows you better than you know yourself.
Exactly.
So I'll come to Faith, I'll ask Faith, can I do this? And then you'll tell me your perspective of life, not who I am. And I think that's why we get lost, because God has given you a vision, but you're looking it in everybody's lenses. You listen to this person, you listen to this person, you listen to this person, and you get lost. So I think no one is coming to save you, and no one can really define you. You need to sit down and define yourself, so that now you'll be able to know, who am I supposed to listen to because of my definition. I'm supposed to go through this road. I'm supposed not to go through this road. So I think it's important to define yourself and understand that no one is coming to save you. No one is coming to define you. No one is coming to validate you. No one is coming to motivate you. Sometimes you just have to show up as yourself, and then they will start following. Once they see your path, the people who are connected to that calling will follow. But at some point, you'll have to be alone and make that decision that you need to decide alone. Then the others can follow who are called to that path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's time kujiita mkutano. It is time. I actually am so excited this weekend. Najiita mkutano, because no one will validate me. No one will celebrate me. No one will do it better than me. Hiyo mkutano lazima niende this weekend. Yeah, and maybe for your I'm sorry guys, I have to bring this to an end. I know you're learning a lot, but lazima tujite mkutano first. What would be your final remarks in this identity crisis and finding yourself?
I think what I would want to tell either a man or a woman going through the crisis.
Maybe this is your camera. Speak to that man or woman going through an identity crisis, and what you would tell them as a coach.
I think the first thing I can say to someone going through the identity crisis is that it's okay. It's so okay to be lost. You'll not be the first one. You'll not be the last one. And it's better if you find yourself in that situation where you're lost, because you're likely to find yourself. There are people who go through life for years and years not knowing what they're supposed to do, and maybe they conformed to a certain way of living because that was acceptable, it was familiar, and it didn't require a lot of change. So if you're going through a season of being lost, just accept it. Accept your life for what it has been. Accept for your decision for what they have been, but also be willing to make that change that you need to make. And what I will say about change, it's painful. Conforming from one phase to another, it's gonna be painful. Sometimes you will lose friends. Sometimes you'll even lose family members. Sometimes you'll doubt yourself. It's gonna be painful, but you'll do it for yourself. So if you're lost, sit down and understand why you got lost. It's because you stopped following everyone, and you don't want to go to that route of following everyone. You now want to find yourself. So if you're in that place, make sure that you look for the right mentors. You can look for a coach. You can look for someone to work with you. If you need therapy, go for therapy, but you need to get yourself out of it. And if you're feeling lost, don't wait for someone to come and save you. They might take forever, and they might never show up. So look at what you need to do with the resources you have now, and find that path that you need to find. Look for people who can motivate you. Look for people with the same purpose that you have. And let me mention something. Most of the time, we know what we're supposed to do. We are just afraid of recognizing it. You know what
Say
you're supposed.
that again. We know what we are supposed to do.
Yes.
But we just fail.
We are afraid.
We are afraid of it.
Of admitting it and doing it. So the answers are not coming outside yourself. You just need to go and admit whatever it is that God has been telling you. You've been suppressing it because, when I leave this job, what will people say? I'm broke. What will happen if I stop driving? I used to drive. What will happen if I stop driving? What will happen if you're so much in debt? If I sell my house and start over and go look for a smaller space and start my life over, what will people say? So you always know what you're supposed to do. So the question is, why don't you want to do what you're supposed to do? Why don't you want to do it? So the question is, how do I do whatever I'm supposed to do? I wouldn't say that you are finding yourself. You're just becoming your authentic self. You're doing whatever it is that you know you're supposed to be doing. And if you stay, I will also add another thing. Staying in this lost state will cost you. And finding yourself will also cost you. So you need to make a choice of which pain you're willing to pay for it. If you stay lost, you'll be depressed, and that's why you find people with cancer, depression, everything is happening, and they're so unhappy, but they're still pushing because they're afraid of change. And then you can step into this purpose that God has called you to. You'll be fulfilled. You'll be able to help as many people as you can in your authentic self. So every change is painful. Remaining the same will cost you. Changing will cost you. You need to choose your pain.
Wow. That's a good spot to bring this to an end. Thank you, Faith, for your transparency, for your wisdom, for your heart, even in giving us this nuggets. I'm sure it has helped it is going to help somebody. Nimekwambia, this weekend, niko na kamkutano, me and myself, because we cannot afford to lose such wisdom that has been shared here today. Identity crisis happens to all of us, but now you know better. If you find yourself in that, just go through the process. And we have learned from the amazing Coach Faith. Thank you so much for being with us today. It's always a pleasure having you. Remember to like, if you haven't subscribed, I'm reminding you again, subscribe and share this with somebody. I'm sure it will benefit somebody. Until next time, goodbye and God bless you.